Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Felix here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. We're just here today to do the update for February's energy. And oh my God, this month, I'm filming this in January 30th. I've been receiving updates literally every day, and seeing really detailed levels of transformation that's going through the collective at the moment. It is fantastic. The work that people have been putting in is really showing. I mean, it has been for ages, but I can really feel it at a tangible level, um, as if it's here. We're here and we've arrived. Um, I have gone through quite a deep transformation since the trip to the Vatican as well, which really kind of opened me to this whole new level of awareness, new level of being. And just this month alone has seen such profound transformation in the fields, in the grids, in my own intuiting abilities. It's been really amazing to see where you can actually address the growth and see it there. So it's been happening throughout my sessions, opening up in a very different way. A lot of clarity coming in as well, to be able to understand and process bits of information. It's like a lot of really heavy distortion had been taken from the mental fields, from my processing system. So I'm able to really understand and integrate at a much more higher um, level of awareness. So, for example, we're looking at one story for as an example here, and looking at it from multiple sides of the coin, and then also seeing it on the vertical pillar. It's getting the whole understanding of what this one story is about, which has been really interesting to kind of play with and develop this month. What I will just start with here is a couple of events that I've got going on and some updates that are coming out. So, first and foremost, we've got the Self-Care Monday on the 6th of Feb at 6 p.m. UK time. Following on from that at 7 p.m. on the 6th of February, we've got the grid work meeting, the discussion where we're going to go through the integration period for last month's. Now, I didn't announce this one last month because I wasn't sure as to when I had to do it, but I kept on getting nudges from spirit to bring this into the physicality. Now, I have intentionally kept this for free, and this is, think of it like a development circle, where you can learn in a group setting how to work with your intuitive capabilities and to really harness and develop all of these different techniques, but also learning about grid working out of itself. Now, my intention for this is to help people really develop their abilities, develop their intuition, and develop the level of maintenance for the planet. I would say we are coming into a time where we need to learn to manage our own energetic bodies, but at the same time, if we feel something in the land that doesn't feel right, we can then go in and start to collapse that out. Now, that in and of itself is the Cliff Notes edition. So I mean, I've got so many points today that I need to get through, and they've all been coming in from like the start of January. So I need to kind of be a little bit aware of how much I can go into it and how much I have to kind of hang back on. But yeah, so 6th of February at 7 p.m. is going to be the grid work discussion, where we're going to pick and choose certain places. We're going to do questions and answers and integration of the last session, but also welcome any new members in to come and understand the development process and how it's all kind of coming together here. How can we maximize on our own intuition and really learn the levels and depths that we can grow to. This is what I really want to see with people this year, is really harnessing all of those abilities and learning how to work within a team, work within a group to develop this for themselves. And then if they want to go off and practice those techniques on themselves, by all means, that was the intention. So we're able to energetically read our own systems as well as the planets. Right. So that the grid work discussion is on the 6th of Feb. Now, the actual grid work session, this is going to be on the 23rd, and that's a Thursday, and it's going to start at 6 p.m. UK time. The last one ran for 3.5 hours. It was fantastic. It was amazing. I do highly recommend you bring a lot of water, pens, paper, snacks if you get hungry, because it is a long shot. And what I like to do is give each person a chance to start drawing on their own inspiration of what they may find within these locations. So everybody gets a chance to kind of work into it. Everybody gets the healing that comes in. Everybody gets the activation or the codes or different technologies, organic technologies that come in through these streams and currents, but also starting to build up a library of resources for themselves, which I always put a list of tools and methods, but at the same time I go in with a plan as to where we're going to go, and how we're going to cultivate this trip and the progressions and movement, what it is that we're looking for here. So we kind of go in and identify in these sort of things. Now, just for anyone who is questioning and curious, we're not going to go into any places that are, for example, the Vatican. We're not going to go into any places that are going to be detrimental to your health. That would be ridiculous. Places that we would look into would be high peak nodal points, different organic parts of the planet, the natural body of the planet, and start to feel in the different locations, so we can kind of get an understanding, as we've got people working at all different tiers here, to work through and build with to develop. Now, what is also great to see is that actually each person is going to get exactly what they need to receive for the place, and depending on the depth and the level of the person, we kind of work through and understand how all of these mechanics work, and knowing that you're not going to be given anything that you can't handle in that moment. This is important to register and recognize. That we will have methods of pulling out, the methods of healing and restoring the land in different areas if it comes to that, but also tuning into the history, the true history. Maybe we tune into like indigenous species or like the indigenous communities and things like that. Depends on where we go, really. It's kind of a free-for-all. but there's always protocols within that as well that we follow to maintain healthy energetic hygiene um, and protections that run alongside it. Okay, so that is the 6th and the 23rd. And then the next one, we're going to do the distorted to divine masculine session on the 16th at 6 p.m., followed by the inner child on the 27th, inner child calibration on the 27th. Now, to dive in pretty much straight away to the energies of February, would have to kind of start in January, because this has been a continuation and a progression that will flow throughout this year that I've been told, and I've been made aware of what I'm having to kind of cleanse and heal, and that is the distorted masculine templates. Not the right word. The distorted masculine collectives, basically. So straight from the get-go, I've been going in and out of the collective fields and working with the restoration of the collectives. Now, this has been really interesting for me, because when I've been looking in these different areas, the things that have been cropping up that are kind of spiraling through, it's first and foremost is this the distorted masculine field. This is the really like a kind of culmination point that really needs to be pulled together and healed. Last year and the year before, for me, it was always the divine feminine and the twin flame. And this year it feels like the masculine is sort of needing to be structured to quite an intense degree, actually. I'm feeling it wherever I go, to be honest, and whoever I'm working with. A lot of it is all kind of coming forwards and needing that that healing, that reconstruction. Right. So that's a great starting point, was like the distorted masculine, and starting to define and understand the different attributes of that field, and then pinpointing them within yourself. What part of you is running a weakness, or levels of insecurity where you can't stand up for yourself? I've noticed loads in my own fields, and now coming to the end of January, it's really been the point where I'm able to kind of feel more confident and more comfortable within myself, talking to people and just being aware of many other goings on. That's kind of my interactions with people at the moment. A lot of the solar plexus issues have been really prominent, solar plexus and root issues. And all of this really filters and feeds into the claiming back sovereignty and claiming back your empowerment. It's a reviewing of your belief systems and really reviewing your life as well at the same time. And you're like saying, okay, so I've gone through X, Y, and Z. I've survived. And now looking back on it, actually, I made it through quite easily. Some parts of it were a bit rough, but I did it and I got there in the end. It worked. And that, when I've started to go into that momentum and start to look at this properly, within myself, the collective is an extension of ourselves, and we're the extension of the collectives. I've been able to pinpoint all these different times where I have kind of fallen back on myself, and then it started to heal instantly. Bringing that superconscious field to bring attention to these areas, it starts to correct itself. The belief systems, the trust restores. All of it, all of the fields begin to reorder for the best, obviously. Sorry, I'm just feeling this because I can, as I'm saying this out loud now, I'm feeling more of it kind of integrate now. Very good chance this is you guys. But predominantly I also there's with the healer, there's always work to be done. It's never just, "Oh, yay, we're healed, let's go," kind of thing. It's a continuous, pattern. It's not ending until you are completely made of light. You've completely alchemized everything and you are, uh, homo luminous, so to speak. So yeah, this, has been really interesting to kind of develop and work. So all of this, um strength regathering has been one massive, massive theme through January. It's not really strength regathering, it's more so like the reviewing of belief systems and correcting um the reconstruction of the way that we see ourselves and the way that we see our realities. All of this filtering in and having quite profound transformation and change. Now, how does this relate to the future? How are we going to see people coming together if they're recognizing in their reality that they have layers of themselves that are no longer tolerant for taking a pile of shit from a structure that's in charge of a nation or however you wish to see that, um, they don't take it. They don't want to take it anymore. It's the awareness of people, which is one of my other topics. Public awareness of force and control is really becoming very much talked about. It's becoming very much aware of, and this is a giant step forwards um, in the awakening of the masses. So it was so funny as well. I actually went to my mom's house and God love her. She very much believes in the system. She's takes it one step back. She knows, but not to the extent of or wanting to know the extent. And my sister-in-law came round with a baby, and she said something. Oh, we've got some neighbours coming over to play with the baby, um, and they're going to bring other babies. And then she goes on to say, "Oh, they're all conspiracy theorists as well." I was thinking, "Oh my god." It was just so funny. So what we can see, what I understood from this, and what I was feeling into was all of the change, all of the awareness has shifted in the people, in the public. Not everybody, but a big, big, big population. People talk. People talk when they're offline and they're discussing about all of these crazy things that are going on and how control and order has been is basically gone crazy. It's way too much. So now they're realizing what's going on here. So this is like really amazing for me. I was amazed to hear it from my mom of all people. Um, and then to hear that all the neighbors are like that as well. I was thinking, many star seeds, they're placed in certain locations, and that is to raise the frequency of said location and the people around it. However, in those places, many of them, they are dense. I was going to swear then, but it's real dense. And it may feel and seem that you are completely alone in this and um, not able to kind of really connect with many people because you don't know where they all are until you know. Um, but what I was just shown then was like beacons of light creating a kind of grid around the earth in these different locations, and then connecting to almost like an energetic power system, like a power grid. Um, so it's needed to charge up and power up um, the people around them so they can receive the frequency, receive the codes, receive the awareness to some degree, so they can then in turn develop themselves at a subconscious level, um, until it becomes conscious, of course. So yeah, going back onto topic, this public awareness of force and control, neighbors being called conspiracy theorists, and now the whole neighborhood is conspiracy theorists. They're all doing it. So makes you think really, if they're all getting on it, what are you missing out on? What is it that you're resistant to? Not saying that any of you guys are like that, because I'm sure anyone who watches my channel is very, very, very much in tune with what's going on. So this was really interesting. Again, I think this is my mom. We're discussing with her friends, the neighbors, um, little bits and bobs of the dark agenda, the negative plan, um, and actually becoming aware of different points. And as they are discussing these things, what I'm noticing about them is that they're starting to unravel bigger bits of information. Um, so if this is happening in one space, like they're unraveling it, but obviously not knowing exactly what it is that they are unraveling. Um, because what I've learned is I need to step back and let my family kind of understand and process it themselves in their own way. And I learned this quite a while ago because otherwise it can actually hinder the process and hinder the growth of the individual that they need to expand into. It can be detrimental to their fields, it can be detrimental to their growth, it can shut them off and seal them up for longer. Um, you know, it's always about the surrendering to it and letting go of control. And if we're kind of forcing these ideations onto people, um, then we can end up hindering their growth. If they are friends and they're open to suggestion, then yeah, by all means, it works a treat. But we've just got to kind of remember their free will, um, and not to overstep a boundary. Really, that's a kind of learning from it. So yeah, um, recognizing and becoming aware of the layers of the plan, but then realizing their participation within it as well. So they're realizing the participation, thinking, oh, actually, do you know what? I don't really agree with this. I don't think I want to join into this. And then, sure enough, the next person comes along where they share the similar mindset, and then they're exchanging their methods, and they're like, oh, did you know this group? Like, there's a group over here, and they know everything about like common law, about bills, and this, that, and the other, and like how like the wording on the bills or whatever is just not accurate. Um, so why don't you come over here and see this? Then they meet this whole other group of people, connecting with these new layers because their awareness has expanded so much that they're then magnetically drawn into the next layer, um, of awareness and expansion. Now, just on a side note, what I've also found is that channeling works very similarly, which I've known for a while, but I don't think I've actually like declared it on here. But yeah, like the channeling has opened up very much like that as well. I always, when from years, maybe like 4 years in the past, I've always thought it's all going to come in like automatically, and then you're just going to know. But in actual fact, you have to kind of build and develop certain areas and parts of the brain and release, well, not parts of the brain, parts of the light body, which then in turn does the biological field as well, which then opens up like new access points to emotions, and then blocks where you've got to work through and things like that. So anyway, I digress. Um, so these people becoming aware of all these different things and joining into these new groups, recognizing the manipulations, but then they're actually standing against. Now, there was something in the news on Sky that came across my vision the other day, which was very interesting. Um, and Sky had labeled them a right-wing conspiracy theorist. And then I shouldn't laugh, but the guy unfortunately was jailed, but he had a plan to go and take down the government, and did all these kind of things about like saying like the thing in the arm was a big conspiracy theorist, and was he was being labeled as like a threat to society, and we all know why they label people as threats to society is to flip the energy onto them from the ones who aren't aware. But unfortunately, which leads into my next topic, is the collective awareness. Um, they're all there. They're all understanding it. Now, I did ask. Um, I did ask what the state of the collective was at the moment. Like, where is it in relation to the Great Awakening and full on awareness? Now they instantly put me on a saucepan, like with a vision of a saucepan, um, filled with water, and there was fire underneath it. Um, and as I was kind of going into this, into the water, but also into the bubbles that were coming from the water was hot. Um, and as you know, when the water boils and bubbles, the bubbles will rise, and then it spills over the edge, right? That's usually what happens when I cook anyway. Um, so all of these bubbles that were simmering up and really getting over the top, uh, they were all each member of the collective trapped inside um, this saucepan filled with uh, awareness. Now, not every bubble is going to agree with the bubble that's next to it. Um, Sometimes the bubbles will pop because it becomes too much. Um, and sometimes they're going to grow because they're understanding the processing and they're developing. Sometimes smaller bubbles might merge with the big bubbles, um, because they've got similar thought patterns and processes. But the important thing is here, the water was bubbling and the bubbles were boiling over the top. Now, within that instance, the cabal, playing the role of the fire, um, was really, really cranking up the heat here and developing its potency. And as these flames are roaring and the bubbles going up over the top, um, typically the water or the bubbles would put the flames out. They act as a simmering and dissolving of the flame. Now, it's also subsequent of how much water is in there, but that's not the point of this vision. So the water, the bubbles, essentially they're about 3/4 of the way down the pot, very close to the flames, and um, with each kind of progression of the plan, the different depths of it, and moving to the next stages within it, more and more people are becoming so aware. The ones who are leading the way are halfway down the pot. Um, or actually, more so, it's the ones who are mad are halfway down the pot, ready to um, put the flames out. But then everyone else is kind of working in tandem within this. So there is one common objective, um, and that is to put the flames out so the water can be harmonious once again. So that was, I found that was very interesting to kind of watch, process, and understand. Um, now, let me just have a look at this. So the I don't know where to go from this one. I've got quite a few points. Um, let's jump to point number 5, which is I've been seeing working to restore through the collective, which is the pain of division and separation. Um, now, this works in so many different levels, so many tiers. Um, the way that I kind of saw it here was through the collective, like the neighborhoods, for example. Um, so taking it from that tier of awareness, it's the ones who turn their back on friends and family through belief system disagreements. What I'm seeing is a lot of unification, like apologies and reconciliation coming in here. Um, now, I've also been seeing this on a different level as well. So we've got it working through the physicality with friends, with family members, etc. Working to work through issues of belief and separation. But then on the other side of this, the internal side would be where we become so disjointed and fragmented within ourselves. Um, that loss of faith, the loss of or the belief system that we are separate from source, the belief systems that we are alone on this planet and there's nothing else. All of these complete divisions, also with Mother Earth as well. This one came in really, really strong. Um, it's identifying these areas of separation and division within ourselves, particularly the separation, where we are so disjointed within these certain areas of ourselves, and then identifying them, defining them, and starting to shift the belief system around it, um, unifying and structuring. Um, now, on a collective level as well, this also works with obviously we've got the separation between that one and the non. Um, so to speak, there's layers of that, not through and through, but I've seen it, it's there. It's nonetheless there are people that are still holding those kind of templates. Um, but experiencing levels of reunification, which is it's really lovely to kind of watch. Um, right. So that being said, um, there were two other points. Actually, there's about 3, 4. Um, couple of other points that I've just been noticing and becoming aware of. Um, we'll start with the money troubles. So I had a vision, I think it was on like the 3rd of January, so it's quite a while ago now. Um, but as I was watching this vision, what I saw was all of these, like a waterlogging or a landslide due to heavy flooding. Now, what this felt essentially like, people were trying to survive in their homes, survive in their lives, and all of these logs were sweeping by, and it was causing such damage and such destruction. I was seeing some people climbing on top of the logs successfully. They were able to withstand themselves, but only just. There were other people that were drowning within them, and some people, they got on top of the logs. Um, and some are hanging on just like kind of by dear life, really. Um, so when I was kind of reviewing this and going through it, this was all kind of escalating through the finance sections in people's lives and realities. Obviously, given the circumstances of where we are in the world at the moment, it's quite obvious to see that people are kind of struggling here and there. Um, but it's almost feeling like it could be getting worse for the latter um, soon. But there are like savior methods, not savior methods, it's the wrong word to use, but there are um, structures put in place that will help to uh, prevent the rainfall from flooding too much, or you know, uh, from completely collapsing people's worlds. So there are opportunities to kind of calibrate and reconstruct within this um, a kind of momentum. I'm not entirely sure what that will be just yet. I am waiting for answers on that. And I am waiting to see what's going to happen. But predominantly, I'm seeing this for like different bodies of the collective, like some that are going to fall, some that are going to um, kind of ride the wave, and some that are going to be on top of it. Um, and not necessarily, it's not necessarily all going to be all bad at all. I don't think. I feel like there's going to be a lot of kind of help that's going to come in for this. We're just going to have to wait and see. I don't know what the timing of this is like either, because at the moment, like I said, my monthly updates, the way it used to be more tailored to the month, but now it's going more so to just what I'm seeing and kind of how things are progressing and developing. So yeah, and I also am not entirely sure what kind of continent that will be either. Um, I can feel it being more akin to like Great Britain at the moment, but obviously America as well. Um, so yeah, the next thing I've been really seeing so much is Carrie Lake. And I'm sure that I said this at the start of January as well. Carrie Lake has been coming to me for probably about um, a long time. To be honest, a long time. But this month it was like for the first 2 weeks, all of her story was like really coming to the forefront with me. And then with Kevin McCarthy, um, this was a real pivotal change for America in starting to level things out and shift and change the playing fields. Um, Again, Carrie Lake has really wonderful winning energy. Kevin McCarthy, I see him to be doing lots of small changes, but then they escalate into really big kind of changes, and quite rapid as well. So that was awesome to see. And I mean, there's been tangible evidence of that this month as well. To really pay attention to, you can just go onto like the Truth Social and see what he's been doing. But also, there's a couple of other channels as well you can find, like Doug in Exile and things like that, who does like mini updates. Because I don't tend to watch newspapers or read newspapers that much. I will sometimes, just to kind of see where the stories are going on the other agenda. But I also uh, find reading quite a lot energetically. Certain pieces I can comfortably, but other pieces I'm like, this is too much. They all jump all over the page, very much like dyslexia. And I was diagnosed with that when I was younger. But again, I feel like it's also very much down to like reading the strength of people's energy, who writes the documents and where it's all been and things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's more to it, but it's a different story for a different time. Okay. Another really interesting thing occurred to me this month as well. And I was working through the fields one day, and I had Medusa's head come to me. This was more to like the beginning of January, from what I remember, what I recall. The Medusa's head coming to me, and what this represented was all the betrayal, the abuse, and the wounding of the Dark Mother, what she'd kind of endured. And then everything started to kind of link up with people that I knew, my own reality, my own reflection, stepping its way forwards. Um, and kind of linking together so many different levels of wounding that had been held within that feminine structure. Um, and also playing the story throughout the collective as well. This archetypal, energetic, really coming forward for healing. Um, so if you look to her story, she gets raped by a god, um, then turned into a snake-haired woman, or snake-haired lamia, whatever that's called, a gorgon. Um, she gets impregnated from the raping, from the affair, with Zeus, I believe. Oh no, from Poseidon, sorry. Um, and then gets killed and has her children taken from her. Um, so really what this is like so many different things running through the story. But one of it is like the whatever action, even if you're innocent, you get punished for it, and it's the woman that's being punished. So imagine that, relate that to your ancestors, relate that to um, women since the dawn of time, um, really, and then getting killed along the way and having your babies taken. Um, really, really, really deep, deep, deep pain within the feminine, and I can feel it in my stomach at the moment. Like it's awful. The persecution, the bullying, the heinous, heinous acts that have been done towards them, only to have their children taken and made to look like a kind of a mad person, essentially. Now, when this occurred, when this vision opened and developed, um, I saw the head being put back on her body. And this was running through I mean, so many different levels, but also particularly through the perceptions of the collective wounding, through the indigo fields, and um it's like, even saying it now, I'm getting quite emotional. I'm getting quite uh energy releasing from this. Um we see losing my train of thought as well. Kia karasmat push me mohora. Sushnia trasne nama iya kurushisum. We see her coming back together and having her head put back on the body. And as she does, she crystallizes and breathes and turns back to human. And as that's occurring, as that's happening simultaneously, I am having the most ridiculous, profound release of all of this energy releasing from my third eye through the perceptions, through the heart, all of the wounding of the dark mother energy, the persecution, all lifting off the body, all of this coming through. Now, at the same time, I was actually at the gym when this was happening as well. Or it was just before I went to the gym. So I was kind of I remember because I was getting back on the treadmill or getting on the treadmill, and I tend to go for my little run. Um, and then I start to go into vision as well again. So whilst that's all occurring, um, having that massive, massive release, I'm asking, okay, so what about the masculine? What was the interplay with that? And it was upholding like really distorted belief systems and perceptions and control structures, but also it's the mockery. It was the mockery. It was the abuse that the males did. They literally mocked her um, when she hadn't done anything wrong. And it kind of got me thinking and looking towards like marriages breaking down and how in levels of divorce it can get really, really ugly. And it usually is the males that that distorted masculine that has to uh, mock and abuse and belittle, try and take the kids. you know, now this isn't to be like prejudice or anything like that. It's just fields of awareness that I've personally experienced as well, but sometimes not always in that most accurate way. So, these things also kind of filter in. Everyone else is going to have their own um, interpretation of this, and this is mine. This is my kind of awareness. But as I was watching this and understanding and processing that level of mockery, the archetypal energy of that masculine cleared from my field completely. It was ridiculous. It was so, so, so strong. Now, what was really bizarre, I was I was then going to do my food shopping in Sainsbury's, um, as you do, and as soon as I got to Sainsbury's, I could hear really horrific profanities being shouted down the street, and being shouted through, um, the store as I kind of go in. Um, there was a woman in there, bless her, she had really bad Tourette's, and she was shouting at the top of her voice and sounding really aggressive within it. Um, I'm not going to say any of the profanities because they were really, really, really gross. But she was getting laughed at, persecuted, abuse while she's trying to do her food shopping and trying to sort herself out. And the first thing that kind of came into my mind was like levels of possession. I mean, I've never looked into Tourette's before, but this was something else. This was like direct translation of Medusa in the real life, not no disrespect to the woman. It's the energy behind it. It was the whole synchronized transformation. And what I'm being reminded on now is the care and the consideration of the elderly, the older people, the women that understood her. And I wanted to just give her a hug. I really did. It was, she, you could feel in your bones, she just needed love. She just needed some support. She needed to be calmed down. It was really intense. Um, it was just so bizarre to have all of those sequences of events come together on that day. The Medusa energy, the release of uh, Poseidon and Zeus, and the dark energy, dark masculine, distorted masculine, and the abuse for that, lifting and releasing, and then seeing this woman and seeing the public who weren't being abusive but were considerate and caring of her. It was just real mad. Um, so yeah, not entirely sure how that's going to play out throughout, but I would like to hope that um, the feminine uh, really benefits from these kind of releases and experiences their own level of awareness that there is no shame in whatever they've gone through in the past. It is just an experience. Um, and also for the males as well, that sometimes we too have gone through these experiences and it manifests in a different way to that needs to be understood from a neutral perspective in order to really restore it. Um, so yeah. That being said, that was the energy update. It's a bit of a rant, but well, not really a rant, but more of a talking one. Um, so I'm going to be at this Mind Body Spirit event on the 4th and 5th of February in Stockport near Manchester. I will put that there. I've done this one before. If anyone like monitors the titling of the location, I will leave all details down below. And then on the 18th and the 19th of Feb, I'm going to be in Pudsey in Leeds. I'm going to be doing in-person sessions. And happy to work with everybody. Um, this month has gone so fast already. I'm like really looking forward to seeing how the developments are going to take place over the next few days and weeks. I am scheduled to go to Ireland in March for a gridwork trip as well. So that will be interesting. And then there's another one in the pipelines for June as well. So yeah, guys, thank you all so much for joining on with us today. And we can just jump in and do a short meditation and just taking a breath. Connecting into the rose. Into the seas, blue sapphire seas. Pink unk, pink crystal unk aligns through the rose. Waters rise through the stem, opening and blossoming. connecting into the skies. Wave formations expand through the horizontal cloudy skies, dissolving out the grey. Tetrahedron in gold. And amber to orange light spheres, flickering of the orange flame, build through the tetrahedron. Feeling a lot of sadness, opening and clearing. Crystal crown placed upon the head, spinning around the rose. Spinning golden geometries, spirals through the backgrounds, releasing out the grey tones. The head of the rose turns from dark red into pink white, yellow crystal tones. And the stem, rich emerald crystal. The feminine, divine feminine, placing the hand on the chest with the fingers pointing towards the floor. Gone from 1 to 4 to 6 to 8, standing around in a circle. Spinning through center, the octahedron, crystal quartz octahedron with iridescent tones. Breathing into the heart here and allowing the consciousness to drop into the root. Spirals of light moving up through the octahedron, through the body. Electric current moving down through the vertical pillar, blending and merging to the scalar. Purification of the golden serpent. Breathing deep into the heart. Releasing of control. What I'm also seeing and feeling here is like a kind of cracking of the third eye of the pineal gland with the pressure as well. It's almost like glass or broken glass that has been kind of congealed together. And I'm just now seeing a golden staff with a golden eagle. Stretched out wings aligning through the pineal gland, through the body. Straight down through the center of the crown to the base of the hip on the left side. I'm just seeing geometry open, crystal geometry fractals expand out through the spiral at the root and just begin to graduate through the fields. As my attention is on the root, my breath is running to the root, breathing into the root, letting the mind drift. Pressure through the head. anxiety and fear lifting through the right side body. And rising up, up, up through each sphere and field. Crystallizing, departicularizing. And restoring any fragmentation here. And just seeing so much indigo and violet coming in. Through the apex of the body and through the apex of your Merkaba field and spinning into and through the crown, filling the 6th and 7th body. And bringing gold through the bodies and around each and every layer. And we update to all of your fields now and update through your localized grids and seal with the breath. So thank you so much, guys, for sticking it out and staying this long, if you have. I'll be sure to see you at one of these events, I hope. Or at the in-person events in Manchester or Leeds this month to come in February. Okay, guys, hope you have a wonderful month ahead. Sending lots of love and support. Take care, guys. Bye.